going to continue building the raised beds. This is my bed assembly process. You can see I add a board to the end of, whether it's the short end of the board or the long run, I add a board to give some extra material to screw into. I find that that gives the most support for the structure of the bed. So here I'm trying to figure out the best way to add wood chips in between after I've put the barrier down, the weed barrier. And you can see I went from the end and then I went from the side, and neither of those worked great. I lost some of the wood chips inside the bed and inside onto the dirt, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. My tractor bucket is just a touch wider than the width that the path is of the raised bed after placed. I can't really go any wider because I want a couple inch overlap on each side, so that just is how it works out. So now I'm going to fill the beds with dirt. The dirt is from other raised beds that we previously took down. I have that in other videos. That is the one area that I'm a little concerned with because it's not the best. It's been enhanced a little bit. We continue to add things to it, and compost and manure and things like that to try to make it improved, but it's not pulverized. I will come through these beds and hit it with my walk behind tiller and try to really break it up as much as possible so it's as nice as we can make it. This is something new we're trying with this garden. It's a landscape plastic. We've tried the landscape fabric in the past, and we've ran into issues where the grass will actually grow into it and cause it to be very hard to pull out. And then if we want to pull up the fabric later, it's like impossible. It just is, you end up taking up dirt and grass and everything with it. So we found we wanted to try something different. So we're going to try this and see how it works. I think this is funny. It actually took me that long to realize I could just tip the bed on its side and dump over the bed. It took me to the last bed to do it that way, which was actually very easy to do. Unfortunately, in this case, I only needed to do one scoop because the rest of it was past and it was open for me to come from the other angle. But in the future, if I do need to do that, that's an easy way to handle scooping the wood chips. A note on these wood chips, I did get these from my local compost waste yard. And you can see here that I use a stake as a gauge. I actually marked a line on it, and just it's easy to use that to go from bed to bed and make sure that the gap in the beds is about the right distance. Things shift sometimes as you're using the tractor and things like that, especially if you bump the bed. So it's an easy way to just make sure everything is somewhat proportional. At this point, I ran out of dirt and I had to go to the other end of the garden to take some of the topsoil that was there to use and fill up the bed. So it'll be interesting to see how these beds perform with the various dirt that I used for them. The first bed on the far left is an existing one that we just added some compost and manure to this year, and then I retilled it in. The next three in the middle were raised beds that we took down that were in that pile that you saw, and then the last one on the right is largely dirt from the other end, which actually was some strawberry raised beds that had died off and we tilled up.
Bye-bye.